Let's give another round of applause for the first State of the City address. The next person to speak, it will not be their first State of the City address. Dallas Mayor Boyd Austin has been mayor of Dallas since 1996. A well-known municipal leader throughout the state of Georgia and the metro Atlanta region. Mayor Austin's 1980 graduate of Paulding County High School, a 1984 graduate of the University of Georgia. A leader in a variety of organizations that support his service to the citizens of Dallas. Mayor Austin serves on the board of directors of the Georgia Municipal Association, the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, and is the current chairman of the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District, which has an awful lot of control about water in the northern part of our state. Very important organization. Always warm in his greeting to longtime friends and newcomers alike. One of Mayor Austin's favorite quotes is actually from legendary Georgia leader Eugene Talmadge. And he says very proudly on Mayor Austin's Facebook page, "I may surprise you, but I shall not deceive you." I say that and I read that with a smile on my face because unless he's deceiving us on his Facebook page, he turns 51 years of age here in a couple weeks. So we like to welcome Mayor Austin, and again, it's proud to have you represent this community.
In fact, I was talking to Lydia Hallmark on the way in. That is my favorite quote by a politician. If you don't know who Eugene Talmadge was, he's the only man in Georgia who's ever elected governor 4 times. And the 2-term limit was done later to prevent that from happening again. He's also known as the wild man from Sugar Creek. And he would tell people in the Depression years, the common man in Georgia has but 3 friends: God Almighty, Sears Roebuck, and Eugene Talmadge. And that was very true for a lot of people, particularly my family, that struggled here on the red clay farm in a county that had almost no trees. We talk about, I hear people when I was chair of the planning and zoning board talk about cutting down the trees. There were no trees here in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Everything was cotton, a little bit of corn, and some moonshine. But to my forebears, Eugene Talmadge was important. He was a common man, and I feel that same need in my public service, to be on the level with the people I serve. Richard Russell was a great senator from the state of Georgia. He was the only man that ever served as a Georgia Speaker of the House and was elected governor and senator following that. And like Richard Russell, I'm a bachelor. And Richard Russell, they used to say about Richard Russell, he was married to the United States Senate. And a lot of times I feel like I'm married to the city of Dallas. And I'm proud of that relationship. It is my hometown. Earlier, Ed referred to Governor George Busby. He said Busby's campaign slogan was, we need a workhorse, not a show horse. And we need folks that will work and will do the right thing in every level of government. The other great Georgia governor that's a friend of mine is Joe Frank Harris. And his slogan was, promises won't work, but Joe Frank Harris will. And every day I get up with the determination to work. And like Ed said, this is not my paid job. I have an employer that I have responsibilities to, and I have to weigh those decisions I make every day and the choices I make to serve the people in the city of Dallas. And I'm very honored that they've given me this opportunity on 5 occasions. Before we go any further, I want to thank the Chamber and Crofton Associates for their sponsorship. I want to take a second to let you know, those of you that are aware, our City Attorney Glenn Stinson had surgery yesterday in Houston, Texas. Things went very well, not as long as expected, and the prognosis is very good for his recovery. And I also want to remember Shelby and her family. It's a terrible and tragic loss. I'm thankful for my pastor, The shoe is on the other foot. I think the question would be is who would put you to sleep the fastest? So if somebody will run time on that, I think his record's about 7 minutes. We are proud to have Jeremy in Dallas and in First Baptist. First Baptist just celebrated its 159th anniversary, and the city of Dallas did so in February, and on February the 8th, we'll celebrate the 160th anniversary of our charter creating the city of Dallas, and First Baptist follows right thereafter with its birthday too. I want to thank my city council. I'll like to stand up. You know, with all the things you see in Washington, all the contentions and divisions and rhinos and dinos and conservatives and liberals and reactionaries, whatever they call them, it is so heartwarming and pleasing to serve on a city council where people can get along, we can disagree. Mike Casey and I have had serious disagreements. Griffin and I have had serious disagreements. James Kelly, my mayor pro tem, and I sometimes have gone nose to nose. But we don't do that in public. And ultimately, we vote and do what's best for the citizens of the city of Dallas. And I think there's a lot of members in Congress on both sides of the aisle in both houses could learn a lot from that example. I appreciate them and the way they serve. And like Doris said, my city council attended, all of them attended GMA this summer, Georgia Municipal Association. They all took classes. All of the members just about have received their first level of recognition and continuing education, and all of them are working towards a level or a next level. That's where the training comes in. We don't try to reinvent the wheel, or we don't create problems. We receive the education. We know what other cities and other governments are doing to be proactive for a good form of government and to make good decisions. It's Tina Clark, if you'll stand up. Tina has been our Public Works Department. She has moved to City Hall now. She is our new Assistant City Clerk, and she will be serving with Sarah Ruff, who has been our City Clerk for a number of years. And Brandon Rakestraw has taken her position as Public Works Director, and he too is doing a stellar job. Both of those are Paulding County natives, a product of this county, and they've chosen to serve a city. And what I will say, if you look across the board at our city employee roster, you'll find that a number of them have long tenures, 20 years or more. They're fairly young people, but they have been committed to the city of Dallas, and I always say that I think the city has been committed to them to endure their trust and their reliance on us for their well-being, but for the things they do for this city. I want to thank my police chief, Scott Halter, and our marshal, Michael Hester, for the job they do in public safety and code enforcement, as well as Captain Major, I get all those ranks messed up, Jim Bochelle moved up to that second position in the police department when Hester moved to the marshal department. I'll try to go quickly through the accomplishments in the past year in public works. We received funding from GFA for a new wastewater treatment facility. It's an $18.5 million loan for 20 years at 1.4% interest. It will replace the two old plants, almost 40 years old. It will give us a better quality of water, give us a higher quality of treatment, and will give us a lot of room for expansion, hopefully, in the growth that will come in the years to follow. Last Friday, they made the connection between the two phases of the airport sewer line. It's 3.5 miles at a cost of $2.5 million. It's ready for current and future opportunities at the airport and within that dedicated sewer basin, both for industrial and residential growth. We have some projects that we list under super BABs, B-A-B-S. Those are Build America bonds. And if you want to know how the federal government affects you with the sequestration or the shutdown, BABs or super BABs are a good way to know. Those bonds were given to the city, or the capacity was given to the city in the amount of $6 million. We pay a set market rate of interest, but the government, the United States government, promised to pay back about 25% of the interest we pay. Well, under the sequestration, they've cut a lot of that back. And now with the government shutdown, we won't be able to get our payment orders processed. So what it means is we will use more of our local money to deliver on a promise that the federal government made. That's how nonsensical things are in Washington. But we've used that money to replace some of the old cast iron water lines. Some of them have been in the ground 60 or 70 years. We've looped the water lines to improve pressure, water quality, and fire flow. We've repaired bad sewer line areas. Some settling had occurred, or maybe there was infiltration. We completed the American Water Works Association audit for leak detection and infiltration, and have made improvements to that system so that we get a better flow into the plant, that we get a better outflow when it leaves. The Dallas Battlefield Park, a couple of years ago we made the announcement on the purchase. Construction will begin this year. Another evidence of how crazy our federal government is. We've been waiting on an environmental study to determine if there are any Indiana bats living in that area. Nobody has ever seen an Indiana bat in Baldwin County, much less the state of Georgia. But it does have some trees in which they like to nest. So our federal government, the EPA, and Fish and Wildlife Service have determined we have to spend a lot of money to look and see if that bat's there. And my standard quote is, we may not have any Indiana bats, but we've got plenty of dingbats that are making policies for us. We also received a $200,000 grant for the Battlefield Park Trail Extension. It will connect from the battlefield on the Orphan Brigade Hill behind the Dallas Post Office through the ravine and into Sarabab Park and tie into the East Memorial sidewalk. It will have connections and markers showing connections to the Silver Common Trail at Chattahoochee Tech and the Chamber of Commerce, at Seaboard Drive, and also from the Dallas Civil War Memorial Trailhead Park. We have completed the first phase of the Confederate Avenue redevelopment. It is a sidewalk extension from Kirk Drive to Atchison Park. This will tie our northernmost subdivision into the rest of the city sidewalk system and allow them easier access into town. We have used SPLOST and Public Works General Funds money to work on subdivisions that were left incomplete following the economic collapse in 2008 with no assistance from any other governmental agency. We have a plan to make sure those streets are topped, that those stormwater systems are operable, and that all the other systems within those parks will be working similar to all other city services. In public safety, I saw the PowerPoint that Doris showed, I think is very educational. When we think about public safety in this county, we need to realize the importance that the police departments play. In the city of Dallas last year, we patrolled over 200,000 miles, handled 9,880 complaints, 203 911 hang-up calls. You think, what's the importance of that? We have to go make sure that somebody is not being held against their will, there's not an issue there. And it takes a lot of time and resources to do. We issued 1,280 traffic citations and 116 city ordinance violations. In all, the Dallas Police Department answered 10,094 calls. We also added a second K-9 unit. We also handle all of the dispatch for our police emergency calls, and we get no supplementary funds for that. We get none of the 911 funds from phone bills. We get no assistance. We pay that out of general funds. Our marshal has issued a number of citations under code enforcement. We are cleaning up abandoned houses. We are making people responsible for their property. And absentee landlords will no longer be able to let the grass grow in the vermin run in the city of Dallas. They will come to court, they'll either fix it, or they'll get an order from the judge to tear it down. If we have to tear it down, a lien is placed against the property for the total cost and has to be satisfied at the time of sale. Our theater and civic center was a project that we began when we purchased it in 1998. Through the renovations and the additions, it has continued to grow. And in the last year, over 100 events were held in each of the facilities. And it's estimated that we served over 50,000 people in those venues. It is the only public arts facility in the county open to the public, the general public, and for rental uses. This weekend, when you get through at the air show, either tomorrow night before the air show or Sunday afternoon at the matinee or Saturday night, you're welcome to buy tickets for the local production of Driving Miss Daisy. It is this weekend and next weekend. It is a local cast, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the talent within our community. And then we were featured in May on 11 Alive's Good Morning series as the hometown, and got a lot of recognition from that. Had an opportunity to showcase what we're doing in Dallas, and a lot of the teams and the students, different clubs and organizations to be recognized as well. In economic development, we are a full partner with Paulding Economic Development, Inc. We are seeing that the opportunity zone that we created is paying dividends. The new Haddad trailer facility for its southeastern operations is open. It serves the film industry. It's located near the Paulding movie, the Atlanta Film Studios, but it also will serve the southeast. And we also have two other industries that are currently looking at location in that park, and if they both move, it will fill that park, which was formerly designed to be a residential housing development, and now will be moved into industrial development and providing jobs for our citizens. I talked a little bit about our employees and our commitment to them. One of the things we've undertaken in the city is a wellness program, and Tina Clark heads that up with assistance of other city employees. Last week I delivered the newest check for $7,000 to administer that program. It provides incentives, and it also supplements gym memberships for our employees. So we give them a financial incentive to be healthy. Between two of our employees, they've lost over 100 pounds and have been taken off blood pressure and cholesterol medications. I think the Austin brothers may need to sign up this year and see if we can do that. But it leads to better health and a better life for them, and to me that is as important as anything, that they are happy and healthy in their home and in their workplace. But it also guarantees better attendance and better insurance rates for us as a city as a whole and the taxpayers that pay those benefits. That grant's made possible through our participation in the Georgia Municipal Employee Benefits System and the Local Government Risk Management Services System. These are functions of local governments, cities and counties that have joined together to purchase their health insurance and provide these programs at a discounted rate, and basically acts as a mutual insurance company for those entities. We also participate in the OPEBS Trust. And we may wonder what that means. There may be some accountants, but it stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits System. One of the things you see nationally is a lot of cities, a lot of local governments, counties, and states are in trouble because people have retired, and rather than plan for it in advance, those localities or those governments have tried to pay for it out of their current pocket. There's not enough people to fund it. And so you've got people that have expectations to receive this care, but no revenue stream that provides for it. What we've done in Dallas is create this trust, and we pay into it according to actuarial formula that when people retire, those other post-employment benefits will be paid for and will not be a burden on future generations of Dallas residents. In the next year, and particularly I will warn the state representatives in the room, that there are changes coming from another entity called GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board. This is not a government organization. It is an assimilation of accountants that have created this entity or this board, and they're the ones that are always changing the financial statements. About the time we get used to it, about a 7 to 10 year period, Robbie may be able to know the exact time, but every time we get used to one system, GASB determines that we need to change it. And it creates an uproar, it changes the whole way we report things, changes line items. But the biggest problem is going to come in 2014 and 2015. GASB is going to a snapshot system where they look at the individual retirement systems. So they may look at the city of Dallas at a time when we've had an 18% increase in funds in the last quarter, and our program looks great on that day, or they may look at it when there's been a big dip in the stock market. The programs are actuarially sound, and they are smoothed over time by the actuarial figures. But what GASB is going to do is it's going to create a lot of angst among people when they look and see that program is underfunded. So beware that it's coming, and ask the actuaries to show what it means. And I'll give a plug for the state of Georgia. Unlike Illinois, California, Wisconsin, and all these cities and counties and states that you hear in trouble, Georgia has a minimum requirement for the funding of these plans. And if they don't meet the funding, then they have to close the program and freeze it. So we're in good shape and understand that that's coming. I see everybody looking at their watches. I'm going to try to hurry. The things to come. We will continue to pursue our Livable Centers Initiative programs. That's the LCI you will hear me talk about sometimes. It's the long-term plan for the development and mobility within the defined area. Ours is one of the largest in Metro Atlanta, and we are the only one funded outside of the Atlanta regional community counties. The next phase of construction will include more sidewalks in downtown Dallas and improvement of some of the side streets there as well. It also includes the future construction of 7 gateway monuments, identifying and defining the city. You will see the first roll out of that in 2014, and will be followed with the completion of construction probably within a 2 to 3 year range. In 2014, we're beginning a new recycling program. For less than $2 a month, our citizens will be able to have single source recycling at their home with a bi-weekly pickup. They don't have to sort it, they don't have to take it anywhere, they put it in the canister, and every 2 weeks they roll it out on the regular garbage day, and it will be picked up. It'll help us reduce the amount of trash going into landfills and hopefully increase awareness on conservation and people for the need for recycling. We expect the start of the next phase of the Confederate Avenue renovation to begin. It's designed to calm traffic as people enter the city from the north and provide better defined traffic lanes with new curbs and beauty strips for the protection of pedestrians and homeowners. If Judge Deborah Anderson was in here, who lives across the street from me, she can tell you what it's like to wake up with a car in your house or people in your front yard that seem not to be able to negotiate the curve coming from Burnt Hickory. So that is going to help alleviate some of those problems. We will continue to protect our historic neighborhoods as a vital element of a live, work, play environment. It is the keystone to any plan for the future viability of downtown Dallas. I know there has been some angst among some segments of the population about a recent change that was made or a recent request that was made. But we are adamant that we are going to protect the Confederate Avenue and the Hardy Street historic neighborhoods so that they will continue to be the key to the development of the rest of the city. The LCI plan shows what the future development will look like, but in all of that, you have to have residents that live in town that buy into the process. And we will not change any of those neighborhoods any further. Some of those that are used as examples are not zoned for their uses. They are grandfathered, but there will not be any change in the years to come. We will continue to work with GMA, the Georgia Municipal Association, to promote the passage of the Downtown Renaissance Act for all of Georgia's 535 cities. Studies show that cities are the economic engines that drive the economy, from large cities like Atlanta and Augusta and Savannah to small cities like Sonoy and Juliet. If you haven't been to Sonoy, you need to go. It is the place where they filmed The Walking Dead. But they've been able to maintain their quality of life, and they've seen a revitalization and a renaissance in the city because of that industry. A lot of Georgia's downtowns fell apart in the late 60s and early 70s when the big box retailers moved in and things moved to the highways. This study shows that the investment made by the Downtown Renaissance Act would be equal to 5 times what Kia did with its plant in West Point. And it's not centralized. It grows local new businesses. It incentivizes property owners to increase their investment, and it gives an opportunity for a new generation, for the millennials, to choose the place where they live. You know, it's real different for me. I went through 2 classes at GMA this summer in Clinton. Some of them in school systems may have dealt with this. The millennials more likely choose where they live before they choose where they work. They don't go to work for somebody believing that they're going to be there 5, 10, 20, or 30 years anymore. They are the most mobile group that we've ever seen, and they have really no employee loyalty. Labor Commissioner Mark Butler talked about the fact that they leave sometimes within a year. There was a huge number, 60% or so of new hires changed jobs within the first year they were hired. That goes against a lot of the norms that we have all understood and adhered to. But that's what a livable neighborhood, a livable city will look like in the future. And finally, I will continue to fight for tax equity for municipal residents. In a political climate dominated by those who preach fiscal restraint and fairness in the tax code, we should expect that to be adhered to at all levels of government. Municipal residents should receive the same services as their unincorporated counterparts, or they shouldn't have to pay for the services they do not receive. No more than a resident of Yorkville, Brownsville, or Seven Hills would allow themselves to be singled out for additional taxation. Neither should the municipal residents of Dallas, Hiram, or Brownsville. We have to reach a point where we understand the importance of the city governments and that we have equitable treatment across those lines, that we recognize the importance of all the services that are provided. You have seen today, just in the police departments alone, that fully about 15 to 20% of the total road miles patrolled by the sheriff last year were patrolled by the cities in their jobs. They couldn't handle the cases, couldn't handle the prisoners. And so I will continue to work for tax equity for my citizens, for the citizens of Hiram, Brownsville, and for all cities across Georgia. Gwinnett County is an excellent case study where they have created tax districts for municipalities to determine if they get a service, then they pay for it. If they don't, they're not required to pay for it. With that, I will close. I thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the trust that the citizens of Dallas have placed in me. I truly love my city, my hometown. I told somebody the other day I kind of felt like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. As a young man, George Bailey always wanted to kick the dust off his shoes and be gone. But in the end, he finds out it's truly a wonderful life, and that's the way it's been for me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Carolyn, thank you and the Chamber for providing this. Thank you, Ed and Croft and Associates, for your sponsorship of today's luncheon. Let's remember those people that have been mentioned as they heal from their surgeries and from their family losses. And always, no matter what happens in Washington, remember those men and women who are in the uniform of this country, on our soil and foreign soil, that give us the right to stand here today and pledge allegiance to a flag, to pray to the God of our choosing, to say what we think, to come together, to gather, or to disagree. That's the greatness of America, and I appreciate those folks, and I pray that God will bless them with safety and security today and always. Thank you.
On behalf of the Chamber, thank you very much, Mayor Austin and Mayor Debbie. These were great reports. I know it took some time today, but these were definitely reports we needed to hear. So on behalf of the Chamber, I want to thank you for being here and thank you for the excellent state of the city. Let's congratulate them again. And these are gifts as a token of our appreciation. Thank you so much.
And I do want to say I appreciate the Chamber looking out and buying these used LSU tablecloths on sale.
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you brought it up.